How do you end up with a small fortune in the franchise business? Well, you start off with a big fortune and then you lose that big fortune. So it becomes an itty bitty one. As crazy as that might sound, it is on average true. Why is it true? Well, in this video, as a business lawyer, I'm going to walk you through exactly why it is not a good idea to invest in a franchise business today. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Pamela Metani, and I'm a business lawyer and the founder of Graphene Business Law, a law firm serving clients virtually and throughout the province of Ontario, Canada. We work exclusively with business owners and entrepreneurs. Specifically to the beginnings of my career in business law, I actually started at one of Ontario's highest ranked, if not the highest ranked, boutique law firm when it came to franchise law. And not only was the firm itself the highest ranked, the lawyers at the firm individually were some of the highest ranked lawyers in the practice of franchise law. Franchise law, of course, being the practice of helping struggling franchisees, sometimes franchisors, but the firm I was at was mainly franchisee focused. If you're new to the channel, you're going to want to give this video a big thumbs up and click on the subscribe button down below. Here at Graphene, we regularly post content that's most relevant to you, business owner or entrepreneur. Now, franchising seems and has seemed to be like a really hot deal for a very long time. Why? Because of the benefits that are pumped out, socially speaking, when it comes to franchising. You're buying into a really big brand. We all picture the golden arches of McDonald's. In Canada, some of our mega brands include Tim Hortons. In the US, an equivalent could be Dunkin' Donuts. And all of these brands have come to be served to the public as can't fail kind of brands. Did you know, though, that on average, 80% of the franchises within these brands don't make money? They don't make $1 of profit after running all year and laboring. And oftentimes, owing to who's going into the franchise business, it can be immigrant families, it can be families that aren't paying their kids for their labor, the spouses themselves aren't getting paid, and at the end of a year of working so damn hard, nobody in that family turned $1 of profit. That's how we get to the small fortune that I talked about earlier in the video. Again, let's talk about why. In this video, I have 5 explicit reasons as to why going into the franchise business as a franchisee is a bad idea. The first is going to be the high startup costs. Just to be allowed to hang those golden arches or that Dunkin' Donuts sign or the Tim Hortons cup, whatever the logo is outside of your business door, you are going to pay thousands, tens of thousands, up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Startup costs that have to be shoved into the McDonald's algorithm, for example, tend to average $700,000. It can be more depending on your location. For what it's worth, the averages for some of these mega brands, and if you're going into franchising, you're going to want to be a franchisee of one of the bigger brands anyways, because you're going to associate that mentally with more safety and more likelihood of flipping $1. Referred to a few minutes ago when I said 80% chance you'll not flip a single one of those dollars. So the high startup costs are a major disincentive. And when it comes to the franchisors, they can be pretty ruthless in how they take this money. I remember, for example, meaning that they'll take it from just about anyone. I remember, for example, somebody that I'd heard about in the franchise law circles a few years ago was a victim of a traumatic brain injury as a result of a car crash, and he'd received a check for $1 million from the insurer. He took that $1 million and shoved it straight into one of these mega franchises that I've talked about in the video. The franchisor didn't even inquire as to the mental capacity of this person. They were eager to take that money, and you bet that they keep that money even when you as a franchisee fail. So that deposit, you're not going to see it back. The second reason is limited independence. This is a huge one. I mean, entire countries have gone to war and battle over their independence, and individuals certainly so in their daily lives, and the sacrifices that some of us endure just to get a little closer to that breath of freedom. When it comes to being a franchisee, freedom is not synonymous. Both words, freedom and franchisee, start with an F, but that's where the similarities start and end. And you can imagine why there is no independence. When you become a franchisee, you are applying to expand somebody else's dream. No franchisor is taking you or will ever take you on board because you're creative, because you have the best ideas about decor and the most innovative recipes. You want to do that? Start your own business, and please, please consult legal help in doing so. Okay? But when it comes to the franchisor's vision, that's the vision you're carrying out in being a franchisee, a part of a franchise. You're not carrying out your own vision, and that's by design. So don't you get worked up if later during the process you come to realize, oh my God, I can't make a single decision here. You were never supposed to. And on top of that, you signed on to that program. So watch this video, think about what I'm saying, look into each of these items before you sign up, because once you sign up, you are strapped in by somebody else onto that other person's ride. Third, royalty payments. You might have heard the term royalty become popularized through shows such as Dragon's Den or Shark Tank. For example, Kevin O'Leary is a shark that is known as being ruthless when it comes to his royalty offers, and he in fact favors them as opposed to just outright investments into a company and the conventional equity structure that comes with it. Well, royalty will also apply I've never seen a royalty-free franchise. I mean, what would be in it for the franchisor? They need to constantly take your money. Otherwise, what's the point of letting you through the door? Now, these royalties, in addition to the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not million plus dollars, you could be footing to get into the business, the royalties themselves can be quite serious. 4 to 12% is an all-encompassing range, with 5 to 7% being that most often beaten path of what we see royalties that are due to the franchisor every single month actually end up being. 5 to 7% of every dollar you earn. You're going to see though how that combined with this next negative, which I believe, let me count. So we did the high startup cost, limited independence, royalty. So now number 4, the fourth negative, inflated prices on supplies. These two in conjunction are going to be one of the biggest reasons that you don't flip a dollar as a franchisee. So whatever dollar you make, you need to give 5 to 7% to the franchisor, first of all. That is not contingent on you being successful. That is not contingent on you being profitable. That is every dollar that comes through your door, even if you're at a negative. On top of that, some of what's going to drive you into the negative is the inflated prices that your franchisor will put on your supplies. Why does this matter? Well, when you're a franchisee, you don't get to go out there and farm out your own supplies, because Mr. Franchisor on top wants symmetry across all of his little minions that run the franchise business, that run his different franchises, okay? And that symmetry is going to come by, Mr. Man on top giving you the supplier list and telling you, you must buy from these places. You can imagine how some franchisees might have tried to save money in the past and be creative, whether turning, to literally anything from flea markets to community members to eBay to Alibaba to God knows what platform to save a buck on ordering some of these supplies. And the franchisors every single time have said, no, it's not your vision, it's my vision, and I'm going to tell you where to buy. But for having created these relationships, Mr. Franchisor is going to often be charging you more than you would otherwise pay for these supplies. Because don't you think he's getting a kickback from the vendors that he has established these relationships with? What's in it for the vendors? What's in it for the franchisor choosing that vendor versus another vendor? There are so many different options of where he can buy a plastic cup from and then tell you to buy it in return. There's so many options of where Mr. Franchisor can buy, plastic fork from and tell you to buy from the same place. But something's connecting these parties in the back, and often it can be financial incentives. Unfair termination. This is one of the most horrific clauses when it comes to franchise contracts. Unfair termination means that there's going to be clauses that we see in franchise agreements which dictate that the franchisor has severe authority and autonomy over when to end a clause. While it's not often that we see something as draconian as what I'm about to say, a late royalty payment can be enough of a trigger for the franchisor to pull the plug on your business relationship altogether. And in the meanwhile, if that happens, you lose every single penny you ever put up front as a deposit, aka the startup cost. You lose every single dollar you've given them in royalty so far. You lose every single product you've purchased, because it's all franchise company. It goes back to Mr. Man. These 5 reasons to not go into the franchise business should be enough to encourage anybody to have a strong, hard look next time they see those golden arches and see that long lineup, and you think, man, guaranteed money is what they're getting. Let me tell you, 80% chance of no money is what they're actually getting, okay? So I hope this video has been helpful, and if it has, please let me know in the comments below if you've ever considered going into the franchise business. I know myself, with my family being immigrants to Canada, I know that the franchise business is one that I think has quite a bit of appeal for a lot of immigrants. And by the way, data supports this too. The majority of franchisees are immigrants and newcomers to the country in which that franchise is operated. And that actually ends up speaking to the feasting behavior, I think, of the franchisor. The example I gave of the brain damaged man whose franchisor just took the check and said thank you, knowing this man wouldn't be able to run a business, but who cares, you cash that check, he leaves, you cash the check from the other guy in line. With new immigrants as well, their sophistication or their level of understanding what goes on in the new country, of course, is not going to be there. But what does the franchisor care? Check. And so the conveyor belt moves on, okay? Be really careful. Please seek out legal help. Please do not even think of signing a franchise agreement without consulting a lawyer. Here at Graphene Business Law, obviously it's something we can help you with. Our website is graphenebusinesslaw.ca. Our email is info@graphenebusinesslaw.ca. For myself as a practitioner in particular, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, my career started in franchise law. And in terms of the 101 ways to go wrong, I've already seen them, okay? If you're a lucky viewer and you're part of that tiny percentage doing well in franchising, well, let us know, what franchise are you operating and what have been some of your keys to success. Share that information with others. I think those inspiring stories go a long way as well. And I'd love to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, thank you for watching this video. And if you've made it this far, thumbs up, like the video, click subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.